having great time with the family. Next time, we are going to come with the grandchildren.
Here's the thing. In Mom and Dad's eyes, I had no idea how to get a girlfriend. I don't know how they fell in love, but Mom and Dad are the happiest couple I've ever seen.
The way you guys married, would that work for me as well?
Yeah.
Not even a doubt. There's a matchmaking. This girl is good with that boy, but that boy is good with this girl. So all the girls and all the boys get married.
Thanks for meeting with us. I feel like I know you guys through this film, which is, I think, a very...
I feel like I'm just meeting you.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm just... You look a lot like this guy behind this poster
is
here.
Twice as bad as it needs to be.
This film really, gets us kind of, in your life. And even if we haven't met you, we feel like we get to know you, which is, I think, a very special quality of this film. You guys seem very honest, and you're kind of telling it how it is, and you're sharing your family's story, your own love affair, which I think is really different to see from a documentary that actually makes you laugh this time, as opposed to being just really serious.
Oh, thank you.
But you're tackling a serious issue, but doing it in a way that's very lighthearted and is very inviting.
Well, we have some pretty good comedic characters in the film. That seem to deliver. People often accuse us of did you script that stuff? I'm like, do they look like they can act? That's them.
They're like the worst actors in the world, promise.
Yeah, or we're like the best writers in the world. I mean, the stuff they say, it's amazing.
So there's a combination between just improv with that and actually, scripting that. So how did that take place?
Well, no, it's a documentary. It's all real life.
Scripting.
So there was no scripting.
Wait, you thought this was a real movie?
No.
Yes, you did.
No, I
can
wonder
see it on
how.
your face.
There was no scripting.
At all.
This was not scripted at all. That's amazing that this is happening.
It's pure
Great.
vérité cinema.
Can we turn the cameras around on him? This is great. Look at how red his face is. This is amazing.
I figured there was a combination of it.
Yeah. No, well, you're not alone in thinking that. I mean, people, I think because of the pace of it, and it is really funny, and I don't think people are used to watching a documentary that's
the animation part that you see.
well, the animation
is even,
those
not
are real
scripted.
stories.
It's not. The animation isn't scripted.
Those are all
It's
scripted.
radio conversation.
Well, the animation is not scripted. It was stories that we told over and over again.
The way.
Like this
Yeah,
American
okay.
life, you tell the stories. That's how the radio part. But you were the 100th person who's asked us this. And
Yeah.
that's what Ravi was saying is so funny is we literally, we love documentaries. We love vérité cinema, which is just following real life as it happens.
Yeah.
And so this film took 6 years to make.
That was unfortunately my actual life.
And we just left the cameras on, and the interstitials for the animation were literally conversations between us that we would just sit down, turn the recorder on, and be like,
Yeah.
"La, la, 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 la,
But I
la,
take that as a compliment, because we intentionally, when we were making the movie, we're like, what if we could make a documentary that felt like a scripted, a narrative romantic comedy? We intentionally put the romantic comedy structure on top of the documentary, tried to make it the same beat for beat, with the one exception that instead of boy meets girl, it's boy meets parents. Mm-hmm. So the parents are kind of the girl in the movie. And so I love that you felt that way.
So, if this took 6 years to make, so you were 29 going on 30. And
Yeah.
You're now
36.
Like 65 or 70, right?
Yeah.
So you're 36.
Yeah.
So why did it take so long to make?
Well, it's hard making a documentary. I read somewhere recently that the average documentary takes about 7 years to make, which is a crazy amount of time to spend on any one thing. I actually thought going into this, this whole movie started as a home video that turned into kind of a documentary almost by accident. And even when we had the idea,
I told him, I said, Ravi, I just finished a film for people.
and I was like, no,
It
but
took
I have a
7
feeling you're
years.
slow.
And he's like,
This
you
will
know, you're
only
just not
take
good
1
at
year.
this. Yeah,
I'm only looking to do we'll knock something out amazing in 1 year, and it'll be like a Michael Moore, Morgan Spurlock thing. We'll just interview a bunch of funny people.
It's
and
not going to be artsy.
It's not going to be about me for sure. Yeah, wrong about all of that.
Yeah, so
I'm
it's nothing.
probably wrong about things in this interview already. That's
Sure.
it's just.
The thing is, the reason it took 6 years is, one, for about a year of it, you saw in the story itself, it's almost like Christmas to Christmas. It's about a year of the actual core story happening. Then we have interviews we did with people. We had to raise money every time. Every year we're raising more money, which takes time because it's a small thing that we're doing. And then we had animation that probably took about a year and a half, along with
And
the
that's
video
that's after we tried all these other things in lieu of animation,
So
which
that's
took another
few
year.
years of just
How
making
many
mistakes.
edits were there? 30?
Well, there were 34 cuts, but the movie changed in terms of like big changes, probably like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, like, what you see now in the theater is probably 5% of what we did. Everything else was mistakes.
Yeah.
And in order to make a film like this, because it's not a traditional documentary or a traditional narrative, it's not traditional, it took us time to find the voice of the film, and the only way we knew how to do that was to make mistakes and try everything. And at some point, kind of like love, at some point you're just like,
Well, this was-
yeah, this feels right, you know?
This was my film school. I mean, I have never made a movie before. I didn't go to school for writing or directing. And I mean, we're making this movie, and I'm sure I look like a total amateur because I'm bringing like a graduate student. Like I'm bringing every book on structure and story. We teared through every book and to figure out different
All
ways
the
to tell our
exercises,
story.
the questions.
We're-
We took all our
We're
favorite
bringing,
romantic comedies.
yeah, we're
we had
taking,
them on the
bringing in
wall,
every
laid
movie.
out.
I mean, it was like a real academic process, and I feel like in making this movie, I feel like I know my voice, and I have some real filmmaking instincts. Now we're writing and directing stuff together. I could have never even imagined that 6 years ago. First of all, I can't even imagine I'd still like her at all after all this time, and now we're working together. And we're so happy, and
I would just imagine like working with your sibling and living with them at the same time.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
By the
it's
way,
same-
spoiler alert: we don't live together anymore, and I think the world should rejoice. At least I should. I should rejoice.
Are you guys closer through this experience?
Absolutely. Oh, we're intensely closer. One of the things we said, we didn't get in any of the major festivals for like 2 years. It got pretty depressing, and one of the things that we would all say
Ravi
to
gave us the failure talk finally.
the kind of
Guys.
things the kind of talk you give when you know you're losing. But I did genuinely mean this. I actually mean it now. I mean, this movie starts in theaters in New York, Chicago, LA tomorrow, and I'm so nervous for the release. I so badly want people to go see it, but no matter what happens, the experience of this film and what it's done for me personally and what it's done for us as siblings and us as a family is the most incredible experience once in a lifetime, and we're intensely closer as a result of
Yeah,
it.
the story of this film.
That is
changed our
very
lives.
true.
It
Yeah.
completely changed our lives. When we talk about miracles in a relationship, it was miracles.
And have you guys read any of the reviews so far? Be honest.
Oh, well, have you heard of Google Alerts?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there's one guy who finds out right before Google. And on the way here, I'm doing work. He's like, well, here's another one. Do you want to hear it? No. I'll start at the first paragraph. And then tell me about the reviews, Dad.
Yeah, I mean, I check it on Google and I read review, and when I see something interesting, I email them. So I bet they probably became aware most of the reviews from my email.
Oh, yeah.
Because I am so absorbed. First thing is I'm retired. I got all the time.
Which is
And
a good
I
thing
am
and a
very
bad thing, right?
passionate and so proud of the kids, what they have done. And it's getting such a great review. So
So there are 7 reviews so far on Rotten Tomatoes, as you probably know. They're all very positive.
yeah.
The Hollywood Reporter is talking about this being a runaway phenomenon and an early Oscar contender.
Yep.
So why do you think the reaction here in the U.S. is being so positive?
Why do you think it's so positive, Dad? What's your score on Rotten Tomatoes, Dad? Do you know what the
100%. Yeah. And IMDb is 8.2. Glad you asked.
He knows the numbers.
Oh, we need to get that IMDb.
I checked that, yes.
So here's another number for you: 69,314. What is that?
Is that the hits on the trailer or something?
So Kickstarter, right?
Kickstarter. Oh, the Kickstarter. Oh, my God.
From
Yeah.
495 backers.
Oh, my God.
You guys had a goal of 60,000. You guys hit it.
69,
You guys have
yeah.
a stretch goal of 85,000, which apparently would have some sort of mom and dad tour thing going on.
That didn't happen.
I think that the reason
for not getting us that far.
the reason I think people, we don't know, but what we feel, as you know, the film had a hard time getting off the ground. It couldn't get any festivals. And so we thought it was over, because 2 years of trying to get into a festival sends a very clear message. The film's not good, or people don't want the film. And we, in our hearts, felt like people did want the film. We felt like, there's so many films out there about revenge, so many films about dysfunctional families, kids who cuss at their parents, parents who cuss at their kids, all this stuff. There are very few films lately about family. There are very few films that are comedies that are wholesome comedies.
That the whole family, at the screening, we had a press screening last night, and there are 8-year-old kids, there's 32-year-old couples on dates, and then there's people in their 60s and 70s, and they're all laughing, and sometimes they're dying laughing in different parts, but they're all walking out having had an incredible experience. And I think at Toy Story, I saw this happen at Toy Story, which is a great movie.
That was my
but I haven't seen it happen in a long time.
Yeah, what happened is our very first screening, our very first festival, we made sure that everyone knew about the film for this one screening. It was packed. And after that screening, it was packed for a year, sold out across the world.
Just word of mouth.
Word of mouth. And so even though whatever tastemakers didn't put it into the festivals, the audiences put it into festivals. And and most of the audiences were non-Indian. And it felt like people coming up to us were people who just were in families. Everyone has families. Everyone has a mom, a dad, and most importantly, everyone wants to fall in love, be in love, stay in love, and be happy.
We were talking about this morning how it almost feels like there's like some grassroots campaign for family happening around this thing. We could have never anticipated it, but like all these fans coming up out of nowhere and just being so supportive and helpful and telling all their friends, you have to come see it. And this guy
Tell them about the yard signs.
Yeah, this guy working 8 to 10 hours a day, calling everyone he's ever met, everyone he knows, every Patel, every non-Patel. They're all working for this movie. Dad is running a campaign office at his home in Charlotte. All of his friends are there. It's like a call center. They're calling
It's like you're
other
running for president.
It really is. And
Exactly.
Dad,
we got yard signs, just like president.
So we couldn't afford billboards. We couldn't afford outdoor advertising. So Dad's like, well, that's not acceptable.
Dad's like, you guys are too slow. I'm taking over. And he ordered 1,000 Meet the Patel's yard signs.
And they are all over, and they are now picked up by news articles. If you come in Charlotte, you cannot miss.
Well, and it's
signs all over, and now they're in New Jersey, in Atlanta,
This weekend they're going to be outside all over
he's your
LA.
publicist.
in Michigan, all over. And Chicago, of course, a lot of areas are there too.
money can't buy this kind of. Well, actually, money probably could buy you.
The new form of social media. It's going back to the people with the yard signs. You know what I mean?
Well, the people who do that kind of job the best are the people who are passionate about it, and it comes from themselves. And obviously, you must be very proud. That's good.
So, amazingly proud and inspired. Like I just can't believe so many people who I don't know or don't have incentive to do anything so nice.
So many people even calling us now, as of now, that we want your yard sign, we want to put in our, or how come you didn't give me one? So there's a lot of community movement, grassroots, movement organizers just want to help support and promote the film.
So you know how they talk about the digital divide? I think what you guys are doing here, you really bridge like the cultural divide, and this is telling, a story about India and America, but it bridges any culture. And I was telling you before this interview that I have a friend here locally that this is the same exact story of his. And it was amazing how, I would watch this film and I'm like, this is such an uncommon thing, but it's actually not. And I think it tells this story that just really isn't being told.
Well, what's interesting about this movie, when we were making it, I definitely thought this is a very, thank you, Dad. Can you see how much press he's been doing?
He's a pro.
What a pro. He's like, come on, man, don't be unprofessional. What was I saying?
Like when you talk to, you're going to tell them about when you talk to Indian people and when you talk.
Oh, yeah.
Do you finish each other's sentences?
Each other's sentences? Yeah. That's not true. We don't finish each other's.
Sentences.
Yeah.
They're like twins now.
No, we knew we were making a movie that was very specifically Patel, and I knew, like, we knew this was a Patel story, but what we didn't anticipate was how much it was going to be kind of every non-Indian story in their own ways, and that's something we only just learned through what Geeta was talking about with like this grassroots uprising at all the theaters. And I think to give you an example, if I told a white man that, hey, I have this girlfriend that's not Indian, and I've had it for 2 years, and I haven't told my parents about her, you'd be like, wow, you are a terrible boyfriend. She should leave you. But if I went to your buddy, an Indian guy, and I said, hey, yeah, I've been with this, I have this girlfriend, this white girlfriend, I've been with her for 2 years, you'd be like, well, you didn't tell your parents about her, did you?
Right.
It's this exact opposite. And yet everyone knows an Indian person, everyone knows a Patel.
That's the story.
There's like this
you
double
said,
life.
There was a story that hadn't been told, and it's a hard story to tell. I think we both have failed with our friends to explain to them. They all think like, oh, your parents are putting so much pressure on you, you must hate them, or all that kind of stuff. And we're like, no. Our parents are the most incredible people we know. They love us so much. We want what they have. This is complicated. And I think at some point we just threw our hands up and we're like, let's just make a film. Let's show it. Because we obviously can't explain it,
Because you have that scene in the film where I think it's like your aunt or someone, and you talk about dating a white girl, and she's like, "Why would you do that?"
No, I'm not going to come to your house if you do that.
And the father ends up being a little bit more accepting than your mom, and she's kind of the tougher self.
But she always follows later on. I know, and that's what I told her. Don't worry about mom. She'll love you so much. She'll always come around.
Well, I think with mom, she's the one who. I was saying it was at dinner last night. I was talking about, with mom, the reason why it was so much harder on her was because it was, it's like you like as a kid, you ask for this Christmas present, right? And you kind of have an agreement between your parents. You're 99% sure that Santa's going to show up with this gift. Can't wait to open this gift, and you unwrap it, you open the box, and it is something else. That something else might be incredible, but it's not what you thought you were getting for the last 3 to 4 months. Right. And eventually you will appreciate this thing because it's a great thing, but you can't get past that. And I think that's the gut punch that for mom, and all of that exacerbated by the fact that I kind of, I lied to them for a long period of time. That hurt more than actually.
But in our family, that doesn't happen, not in our very open, we know each other, everything.
But you
so I think she was hurt.
You understand why?
I understand more. She would understand, but it takes a longer period of time. Because love will always overcome all those things.
It's not even love. I feel like, it is love, but
she feel a letdown, I think
it's
that you
love in
didn't
the form
tell.
of the hardest love, which is forgiveness. You look at people in war zones who are forgiving people. Parents are forgiving people who've murdered their children. This is that's the most extreme form of it. And we're talking about even in these days, there are families where children haven't forgiven their parents, parents haven't forgiven their children's siblings. I mean, they spend their entire lives never talking to each other. And if we can find more forgiveness, which is what we have to do on a daily basis to keep this alive, forgiveness is so hard, but it's so worth it. And it's the key. And I think that's what we learned through this film.
And I have to ask here, because we have to wrap up, and this is a spoiler alert. I don't see a ring on your finger.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't see a ring on yours.
By intention. I don't have a biodata. My parents don't.
You don't know that. I didn't find out about mine.
You don't have a
Yeah. Let me tell you, this guy's probably already got one out on you. So here's what I would say to your question, which you don't have to finish. What's going on with me now? I would say that people need to watch the movie. Because what you're asking for would be called a spoiler alert, and no, it's not a spoiler alert.
The fun away from watching the movie. So the best thing is to see the movie. Go there. It is opening up tomorrow, L.A.,
September
Chicago,
11.
and New York, September 11, and then September 18 is opening all over. And go on with the Patel's Facebook and check it out all the schedules. And enjoy it, and then you will know what happened. So that's what it is.
And is part 2 about Geeta or part 2 about mom and dad? Because
both of those parts sound great because I'm in neither one of them.
There will be no part 2.
Yeah, I think it's time to do one about Geeta. Yeah.
I mean, you come in at the end, but the whole time I'm wondering what's up with her.
Hey, she's single, so we should get.
They don't even ask you, why do you do this to me?
You did it to me for 6 years. I can't do it for 10 seconds.
Are you single?
Am I single?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tried to do it again. Watch the movie. Watch the movie.